Dongadudden, South Wales District, South Wales Branch, Wales District. I propose an investigation of various options for restructuring. This annual conference asks the NEC to investigate various trade organisation structures and report back to National Council on 4 options for the potential NFRN restructure that can be presented to districts. This will take 1 year to research and investigate, and probably another year to implement. There should be 4 options available to present to Annual Conference 2023. The rationale: the structure of the NFRN is not fit for purpose for a modern trade association. Decision-making processes and implementation of agreed action is too cumbersome and time-sensitive. The layers of reporting mechanisms via committees, then to NC, then to districts, then back again to passing action means the topic or discussion point is meaningless. Costs: £30,000 budget for research and instruction to a consultancy to investigate and report back findings. Tender documents need to be prepared.
Sam Whiteside, North Wales Branch, Wales District. Over the past couple of years, we have asked for the NEC to implement some changes, and quite frankly, we've been disappointed at the delay. We've had a couple of national councils and we've been expecting things to come forward from NEC, but nothing has come forward. So to kickstart the investigation, we'd like the NEC to investigate various trade organisations and review those organisations, such as the FSB, the ACS, and even the CSNA in Ireland. The structure we have at this moment in time is unsustainable, and in this day and age, very cumbersome and awkward, and we need change. In the motion, we suggest 4 options, but the aim is to bring forward ideas to implement change. There's no change at the moment, so please support this motion and let's get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker.
Good afternoon, Conference. I rise to oppose the motion, but agree the sentiment. I rise on behalf of the NEC. It's ironic that Sam seconded the motion because Sam was National President when there was the RIG report about, and one of the problems we have with this is the costing, because to get a professional company to do the research that is needed would cost 5, 6, 7, 8 times more than is put down there on 30,000. I know that the cost of the RIG report went into 6 figures, and that was nearly 20 years ago. The sentiment we agree with, the sentiment we've been trying to do, and I'm personally disappointed that the previous motion 13 was withdrawn, because we could agree on that. By saying that this has to be done in a year and you had to come back with 4 options, it limits our hands. What if there are 5 options? What if there's only 3 viable options? The sentiment is right, and we have been, and I have personally been trying to do that. But restructuring this organisation is very tricky, because half of you want a complete and utter change, and the other half want no change at all. And it seemed to us at the time the only way you could do it was through evolution. But the problem is with our rule book, if you tweak at one rule, it goes against the sentiment of another rule, and all of a sudden standing orders rules it out of order. So it is immensely complicated. I agree with the sentiments of this motion, but I don't agree that it should be tied to 1 year and then a proposal the next year and 4 options. It is a difficult situation, the structure of this federation, and Sam mentioned the FSB. Well, can I tell you that the FSB is not the FSB? It is the NFSESBL. It is the National Federation of Self-Employed Small Business Limited. It's a limited company. They have an annual conference, the same as we do. They have a national council, the same as we do. They have an elected board of directors, and every member has a shareholding, own a share in that company. The research that we've done has been extensive. We haven't always reported everything back to National Council because you've got to get the proposals in there first. And one thing our research told us was that 3 years ago, the FSB did away with their branches. They don't have any branches anymore, but they have 230 staff. They have staff that organises small areas and goes and visits and disseminates the information down. It is a brilliant model. They have 200,000 members. They started less than 40 years ago, whereas we're over 100 years old. In lots of organisational and structural ways, they are far beyond what we are. We have investigated, but if we was to come here with a proposal saying, let's make the NFRN a limited company, and you elect a board of directors, and that board of directors serves for 3 years, we would have been, as Sam actually knows, because Sam has actually brought restructuring proposals to annual conference in past years. There has to be a pragmatic, step-by-step way of doing this. And it has to be by a clear and precise understanding, as this says, but to limit it to 1 year and to limit it to coming back with 4 separate proposals is not the way forward. That the NEC, the current NEC, is totally committed to restructuring and modernising the Federation, but by evolution and by agreement of annual conference, not by just chucking things at you for you to vote down, because we can't get 2/3 majority and then go away and try and do it again. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Maurice Arkham, NEC. I think Peter said most of what I was going to say anyway, but he's done it more eloquently. The thing I would say is that the 1 year time period is very restrictive, and I think that in principle I agree with the motion itself, but the time period is very, very restrictive because this is a huge job to do. And the second part is the 4 options. There shouldn't be any options put on, number of options, because that should be left open so that whoever's doing this investigation should be able to put in a number of options. It might be 2, it might be 10, might be 15, but you start funneling this to a very, very narrow scope, and I think that wouldn't make sense. So I'm asking for everyone to. So, with everything I've said, I'm asking for a withdrawal.
Okay, request for withdrawal on the basis that the NEC have agreed. Sorry? No? Okay, next speaker.
Peter Robinson, Wales. I'd like for conference not to get too hooked up on the 4 options available, insofar as the way I would encourage everybody to see this as an enabling motion, a motion of confidence, but mostly a motion that we're happy for you guys to do it and to come back to us. If there are 4...
With all due respect, you need to stick to the motion. The motion doesn't say enabling. It very specifically says the timescale and the options. Stick to the motion, please.
Okay. We're happy to withdraw.
Okay, thank you, Peter.